One of the most important things you'll do when formatting your paper in APA is documentation of sources. There are several things you do in documenting sources. When you're actually documenting it in the text, so here we have a piece of text. So when you're documenting your sources in the text, you need to use signal phrases and in-text parenthetical citations. I'm going to show you what those are with some highlighting here. Okay, so this first paragraph. Since roughly 340 students use the water fountain each day at West Carroll Primary School, it is possible that there are multiple different types of bacteria present on the fountain. Many people understand that germs are found on water fountains, but they do not understand exactly what their children are being exposed to on a daily basis. Okay, great. Those first two sentences belong to the author of the paper. Here comes a signal phrase. It says, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC 2014, right here. This is a signal phrase. What it does is it, exactly as it sounds, signals. It's a phrase that signals the audience that what is coming does not belong to the author of the paper, but belongs to a source that the author used. So in the signal phrase, it can be as simple as this one, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or it could be longer where it gives you a little more information and context about what's to come. Okay, now something to look at, a couple things. What do you put in your signal phrase? You put the author, and every time you give the author, you're going to give the year. It's that author and date. And you might think, why? Why do we have to give the year right away? Why not just wait until the parenthetical citation, or why not just let them see it on the reference page? Well, in the health sciences and in an APA format, the year is incredibly important because everything needs to be up to date. Your references need to be current. You really don't want anything older than 10 years old. Actually, within the last 3 years is ideal. 5 to 7 is okay. But currency of your sources is very important because things are always changing. Things are always being updated. New discoveries are being made, new protocols. So the year is incredibly important when you're writing in APA and in the health sciences. So it's author and year. Now here you have, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, that is an organizational author. So even though it's an organization, not a person, is being used as the author. That's fine. You notice that CDC, which is the abbreviation for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, is put next to the organization's name in parentheses in order to indicate that that is the abbreviation that will be being used for that organization from here on in. So from here on in, the author can just use CDC. Then we have 2014 in parentheses and the comma. That whole thing is the signal phrase. What comes next, because it doesn't have quotation marks around it, is paraphrased information. So the author writes, some water fountains in public schools are testing positive for the rotavirus. This virus is the leading cause of diarrhea in young children and is known to cause death through dehydration. This is a highly contagious virus that can be passed back and forth between children through the common grounds of a school water fountain. And then again, she has CDC, 2014. Now, why does she have, even though the information is right here, CDC 2014, why is it again here at the end in a parenthetical citation? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Why is because it is paraphrased information, which means it's information from the source that's put into the author's own words. It's condensed and it's maybe simplified. Because it's not a direct quote. A direct quote has quotation marks around it. We know where it begins and where it ends because of the quotation marks. However, this does not have quotation marks. And if you look, there's 3 sentences in there. So we need to know where it starts and where it stops. Signal phrase tells us where it starts. The parenthetical citation at the end tells us where it stops. You need to have these 2 pieces in order to make it very clear what belongs to someone else and what belongs to you when you are writing. Now, if we scroll down, we'll see a few more uses of sources and how they're documented. here we have another signal phrase, according to Smith and Moss, 2013, right? So that's great. And then it's a direct quote because it's in quotation marks, direct quote, word for word. In the parenthetical citation, we have the page number. Now, this is interesting because whenever you have a direct quote, you must give the page number, must. If there is not a page number because you're getting it off of a credible website, and make sure it's a credible website, then you may give the paragraph number, P-A-R-A, and then the paragraph number. So here, page number has to be there with the direct quote. Now, going back up here to the paraphrased information, do you ever put a page number here? Yes, you can. We could say, let's say this was on page 272. That's all right in order to indicate the page number. Actually, the way APA has it in the manual is that page numbers are recommended with paraphrased and summarized information. They would prefer that you put the page number there, but it's not mandatory. So you might just want to get into the habit of always putting the page number down. If, let's say, this paraphrased information came from more than one page, let's say it came from pages 272 and 273, then you would have PP period to indicate multiple pages. Scrolling down. This is a very interesting, this next bit of source material is interesting because it's a personal communication. If you're ever going to interview someone, this would be how you would put that information into your paper. So here we have the principal at West Carroll Primary School, Jeanette Ashby, stressed, comma. So this whole thing here, again, signal phrase, right? And then here's the direct quote, the common cold, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to the end of that quote. And then the parenthetical citation will have the first initial of the person's name, their last name, comma, the words personal communication, just like it shows it here, small p, small c, comma, and the exact date that that communication took place, October 7, 2014. So this is a perfect example of personal communication being cited in the text. Now, take note, personal communication is not put on the reference page. It is only in the parenthetical citation. One more thing about this section that I want to talk to you about is that not only do we get to see how she does a personal communication, but we have a personal communication again down here. So even though it seems like she's repeating a lot of the same information, there is some of this between this personal communication, see this direct quote, and then all of this up through here, or I should say, I guess just this one sentence right here. This sentence belongs to the author of the paper. It takes one infected child to take a drink out of the fountain in order to pass it to the next person who takes a drink. So that is what the author of the paper is saying. And then she goes back to getting another quote from her source, J. Ashby. So again, she's going to put all that information a second time with J. Ashby, personal communication, etc.